Elizabeth Heiskell is a chef, author, and television personality known for her farm-to-table cooking and Southern hospitality. Raised in the Mississippi Delta, she developed a deep appreciation for fresh, local ingredients and traditional Southern cuisine. For over 20 years, she has owned a catering business, has authored popular cookbooks, has judged Food Network's The Kitchen and Chopped, is a Southern Living contributing editor, and has made multiple appearances on The Today Show. Not only was she very much an authority on today's topic, but she had such an obvious love and passion for her Southern heritage that really shined through, and I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation. Welcome to Grandma's Silver, where tradition meets today. I'm Allie, your host and the founder of the Grand Millennial Lifestyle. Here, we blend aesthetics with nostalgia, engaging in conversations with lifestyle brands, designers, and more to rediscover the timeless charm of the past. Join me as we journey from home to heart, illuminating the past and polishing the present with the gleam of Grandma's Silver. Elizabeth, thank you for taking the time to be here today. I'm really excited to chat with you in general, because I think when we're talking about entertaining and hosting, you are absolutely an authority on the subject. However, I'm also eager to chat with you about summertime and all of the abundant produce that no one ever knows how to utilize properly, or we just zucchini bread ourselves to death. So I'm really excited to really dive into this conversation with you. But I would like to kind of turn it over to you a moment and let you introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about what it is that you do.
So my name is Elizabeth Heiskell, and I'm a chef. I'm a mother to three beautiful girls, a wife, best-selling cookbook author, and the Today Show food contributor. And when I'm not doing all of those things, I run a very busy catering company in Oxford, Mississippi. My background is farming. So we had an incredible vegetable farm for about 8 years, and we sold chef quality vegetables to restaurants in Memphis, Nashville, and in Oxford. So, this time of year is one of my most favorite times of year. I mean, I cannot get enough of summertime. I really can't.
I agree. I'm a summer girl. Is that kind of what inspired? Was it just having your hand in working with food ultimately that led you to the culinary arts? How did that come to be?
No, honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. I struggled horribly through school, and failed my senior year, didn't graduate college, went to college, but didn't do very well. And so, but I loved working. I always loved working because I was very good at it. I found success in it. I got an immediate gratification, which, who doesn't love that? I knew whether I had done well, at the end of the day or not. I have horrible attention deficit that was completely undiagnosed. And so I just kind of wandered around and really didn't have much of a direction. I worked for a catering company through high school that my mom was good friends with the owner. And then when I was in college, I would go back and work with her, in summer, spring break, things like that, when I had a moment. And so then when I kind of got to the point where I was still in school, but not really doing so well, I went back to her and was working, and that's when I met and married my husband. And I really just wanted to raise my girls, and and that was going to be my life. But then sort of everything changed, and I ended up starting a little company called Instead of Flowers, which my husband called Instead of a Job, because we weren't very busy in the beginning. We literally, Jency, who was my partner in this endeavor, we would watch a lot of television. We would, watch the Today Show every morning. We worked in our pajamas most of the time. But the premise of the business was, if somebody died or had a baby, we would take food, which was fun. I did it out of our house, and my daughter could be right there while we were doing it. So Anyway, so that's kind of how it started. I figured out very soon that, I mean, I've always had an intense love for food, and I found success in the kitchen, even at a very young age. But I never realized that that could translate into a career.
Mm.
I don't know why. I don't know. So anyway, so that's kind of how it all started.
Okay. And it's fascinating, not fascinating, but it makes all the sense in the world that your mind might have not gone to it as a career because it's not really encouraged or talked about in a traditional school setting. That's
You're
for
abs
sure.
No, you are so right. And, when we're talking 80s, in the 80s, you didn't see so many women chef running around. And I knew that I didn't want to own a restaurant, but I
Yeah,
didn't know, anyway, I didn't know what I could do with this, if that made sense.
it does. Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that despite, you're obviously very successful today. And I love that you've still held on to your catering company and that is such a big part of what you still do. I think there are a lot of folks in your position that might push up because it's hard work. I just was, before I hit record, I was telling Elizabeth that and for folks who are listening, I've said this before, I used to event plan. I've seen what goes into the catering world. I mean, it is intense. It is hard work. It is long hours. It is stressful. A lot of people would have just given that up. And I actually really respect that you have maintained running something that is still so challenging.
Mhm.
It's a really challenging industry. And it's
I love it.
commendable that that you didn't kind of like hit success and then shove away the hard part.
Yeah. No, I do. I absolutely love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't still be doing it. You can't. If because you're right. It is so incredibly hard, and
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, there are nights when, we're doing a wedding for 600 people and, I'm in the dish pit washing dishes and taking out trash at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what in the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is, where did I go wrong? And no, but that's, that those days are few and far between. That I get a tremendous sense of joy from sharing in people's, their most incredible days, I
Yep.
mean, I love going into their homes and becoming a part of their family, or we end up being such amazing friends with our brides and our brides mothers, and it's just it's incredibly rewarding to serve others, and I really do. I love it. And I get to cook every day. And I think a lot of chefs that have restaurants and things like that, they really don't get that opportunity, And so I'm in the kitchen every day. If I'm not speaking or if I'm not out of town, I'm there and I love it. I literally left the kitchen to come over here to do this Zoom. So yeah, it's every day.
I want to go back to you mentioned farming for a moment and kind of that experience and some of the things that maybe you learned or the role that experience has played in what you do today.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you one damn thing. I learned how to work. It was such an unexpected thing. My husband and I partnered with a guy that already had a farm down in Hustler, Louisiana. So they were doing these beautiful vegetables and selling them to restaurants in New Orleans. He had this land over in Oxford and, wanted us to come and farm there. And my husband was a home builder, but he grew up a farmer. Obviously, I was a chef. I was the head chef at Viking Range Corporation at that time. So I knew the chefs and I also knew the business. I knew what they wanted, what they needed, And so basically, we brought the farmers markets to the chef, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
we would grow, all these different varieties. So like 30 different varieties of tomatoes, every color under the sun. We would have squash, and then we would even like grow to specification. So if somebody wanted a squash this big, I would grow it, we would grow it, pick it at that point. Somebody may want them large, I mean, it was all over the map. And it was hard. It was hard. And just when I thought it couldn't get any harder, like the tomatoes came in. Our first year, Luke went and planted 10,000 tomato plants. I
Mhm.
don't know if you know what that
Gosh.
means, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. It was unreal how many tomatoes we had, and I had no
Yeah.
take them. Because we just started, I mean, it was absurd. Anyway, yeah. But the one thing, not the one thing, I got a tremendous amount from of experience, and I certainly wouldn't be where I was without that. I cultivated a love of vegetables more than I ever have. I mean, I grew up, my dad was a farmer, a commodities farmer. And so we always had a farm garden. And so mama was always canning. She was always, cooking vegetables, putting things up, putting peas up, freezing things. And so I mean, I loved them, but until I really, really got into this, it opened up a whole nother world. I mean, it just only certain things make sense to me now. I don't eat tomatoes out of season. I just don't. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't eat watermelons in February. I mean, I know I can go and I can buy a watermelon at the Kroger or at the Piggly Wiggly in February, but I can also get butt naked and run around my square, but I'm not going to do it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right. That's
And
not
so,
local. Like it's
no,
obvious,
it's not.
it's not.
It's absurd. And there's something about being patient and waiting on the perfect tomato. It makes it that much better. And anyway, so that's where we are. We are in the season. Our tomatoes have come in. You're a little bit later than us. But our
Yeah.
tomatoes are in. They are
Okay.
just really coming in. Sweet corn is in. Okra will be coming in probably about next week, maybe week after. Eggplant's doing great. Zucchini, squash, all these wonderful things. And I mean, I am going crazy cooking right now. Crazy town.
I love it. And I was just getting excited. I picked my first couple of zucchini last night. So those are starting here. They're starting to grow. But even last night I was looking and I'm like, oh boy, they're all gonna kind of come in at once. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I have to go to the store. Like, what are we gonna have this week that will incorporate the zucchini? So it's just one of those things. And yeah, our tomatoes are not in yet up here,
Well,
but it's a matter. I mean, they're little green, it's the little exciting part because they're
oh
starting to
yeah.
come in and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good. But give me a month and a half and I'll be up to my eyeballs in those too. So it's just a matter of time. Let's talk a little bit about some of this produce since it has come up. So you mentioned you're cooking right now. I mean, what
Yeah.
are some of your go-to, like, how do you manage or how do you not even manage, because I think it's such a gift,
It
honestly,
is a gift. It is
to have
exactly.
the abundance of produce.
Right. How do you celebrate the season? Is
Yeah.
what, and that's what it is. It's a huge celebration and it's such a gift. Um, and especially if you've done like me and you've waited, you are beyond excited. And it is funny though, you say the zucchini, and I love zucchini. I do. I love it. But by the end of the season, it is the bane of my existence. I mean, when
I'm
we
sure.
first started farming, it got so bad, people wouldn't invite me to their house because they knew if they invited me, I was going to bring zucchini. And I wasn't bringing just a little bit, I was bringing like cases of it. I mean, I would literally have to pull up to people's houses at night, and I would coast into their driveway and turn my lights off. I'd throw the zucchini on their front porch and ease back out before they could catch me.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
terrible. I was taking zucchini to church. I was taking zucchini anywhere. Anybody, please just take this zucchini off my hands. But for right now, I'm going to tell you this, and this to me it's so good and it's so easy, and you don't even have to turn on a stove. And that's one of my goals with summer cooking. So what I do is you take the zucchini, you're going to cut off both ends, and then you use your vegetable peeler and you're going to peel it till you get to the point where you get the seeds. Okay, so once you
Okay.
kind of get to that part, turn it and then do this side and then turn it and then do this side and then turn it. So it's going to be 4 times. Okay, so now you have this beautiful nest of zucchini ribbons. Oh my God, it's so delicious. And then I take a little bit of fennel and slice that very thinly. I love really good feta, really good salty feta. And throw that on top of it. And then, and then it's whatever else I have. So, if I had some berries, I may throw that on there. If I have some walnuts or some almonds, I'm going to throw that on there. And then I toss it just in this incredible vinaigrette. So super easy. Again, I don't do anything that's hard. I mean, there's nothing, I don't, I'm not over here making hummingbird tongue on toast. I mean, that is just for the birds, I mean, I'm just not thinking about it. If it has more than 100, 6 ingredients, I'm probably going to turn the page. But, garlic, lemon juice, salt, pepper, and olive oil. That's it. I mean, that's it. Maybe a little bit of honey if I'm feeling it. And you toss it with this. Huh. Oh my God. The other thing that I'll go ahead and do when it's coming in, I'll go ahead and blanch it and
Okay.
freeze and get it ready for so that I can have zucchini and squash casseroles all year long. And
Hmm.
I don't feel like I'm cheating with this, and I'm going to tell you why, because people are like, "Well, I thought you didn't eat out of season." Well, I don't eat out of season, but these were summer vegetables and now they're thawed out, and that to me is very legal. So I'm always doing that. So my
Hmm.
freezer will be stocked by the end of summer with everything you can imagine that will sort of hold me through the fall. I also love to make just an easy puff pastry. So I don't make the puff pastry. I'm sorry, that was misleading. Cake puff pastry, and then thinly slice your zucchini, lay that out, tons of Parmesan cheese, fresh basil, fresh mint, any other herbs that you have in the garden. And listen, if you haven't planted your herbs, or if you thought, it's too late, it's not. And I don't care if you live in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. If you have a balcony, you get you a damn pot, you put some seeds in it, or you go get you a little basil plant and put it out there. It will change your cooking. It forces you to think of things that you can use these fresh herbs with. Honestly,
Yep.
basil and mint, there's no excuse not to have these things. And that was the other thing with the fennel. I wasn't even thinking, but then I always throw basil and mint on it. Always on that
Okay.
nice zucchini recipe. I don't know. And that's the thing, is play with it. That's one of the reasons I love summertime so much, is because it's almost like there are no rules. And so, if you make something and it's not good, it's not the end of the world. It's okay
Hmm.
to do something else. But when you really have incredibly fresh vegetables, you're going to have to work hard to screw it up, honestly. And if it grows together, it pretty much is going to go together. So, for example, with that, squash and zucchini are grown at the same time that tomatoes are, the same time that your fresh herbs are. All of those things are going to go together. So you don't have to overthink this. It's not rocket science. And if nothing else, then I just make a great succotash with it. So squash, zucchini, field peas, lima beans. Oh my God. Slice up a little bit of okra and throw that in right at the end. Throw in your fresh tomatoes. Stew that down with a little bit of garlic. Oh my Lord. And then don't forget the sweet corn. Oh my God, this is making me so hungry.
I know. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh man, why did we schedule this at
I
lunchtime?
know, I know. Do that, and then maybe throw a really incredible piece of grilled fish over it, and then make a ton of it. Make a huge batch of it. Freeze it. I'm always big batching things. I don't ever cook for one or two. I mean, it's only my husband and I, but I'm constantly making big batches and freezing or putting up. It's
I was just
insurance.
about to say it, especially in the summer. I mean, and I can't even talk. I mean, who am I to talk about a hot summer? But it
Yeah.
gets real humid
You
up
ain't
here.
got no idea.
I know, but it gets hot-ish. I mean, and it gets a little humid. But I mean, when you have those uncomfortable days and you don't feel like cooking, it is so nice to be able to still pull something out of the freezer. Or like you said, when the season has passed, but you still have fresh, technically in season meals,
Right.
it's great. It's a really good thing to be able to pull.
Yep.
I agree with you. And you also, the herbs, it's funny. I shied away from growing herbs for a very long time. Don't know why, but I mean, they kind of grow themselves. Like it's even for people who don't have a garden and like you don't think you have a green thumb or any of the things. If you have a plastic cup and a windowsill, you are good to go. They take care of themselves for the most part, and they really do enhance just about anything. So I love that. Yeah, it's
They do.
great.
They do. Absolutely. 100%.
let's talk a little bit more about ingredients. So, I mean, you mentioned a handful of things, but are there certain ingredients or meals that maybe on the catering end, because I know you've put various recipes together for your cookbooks, and a lot of that comes from a personal space. But are there things that for you just like represent summer that maybe even you grew up with, that is a meal that you would like to make now, or that you have put a spin on and that you encourage your clients to try out, or that you stuck into your cookbooks?
Yeah. Well, I didn't put this one in my cookbook, but to me, one of the things that my mom used to make all the time was ratatouille. And I honestly feel like ratatouille it's everything that's great about summer in one dish. And
Mm.
so you have eggplant, you have zucchini, you have tomatoes, a little bit of tomato paste, you put in your fresh herbs, you cook it down, and that is something that then you can take that, you can eat it
Mm-hmm.
just by itself. You could put it over pasta. You could add chicken to it. You could add shrimp to it. You could, it's almost like a blank canvas. It's like a little black dress. And then you can do so many things with it. But that was, you mom was she, she was an amazing cook, amazing. And I mean, we were living in Rosedale, Mississippi, and there wasn't a McDonald's in every corner. There wasn't even a McDonald's. There wasn't anything. We had the hot tamale place, and if you didn't want to cook, and that was it, it was going to be either hot tamales or nothing. And which was a great way to rate to be brought up, because you had to cook, you had to make your own fun. And so I learned, from the best. And my dad was a great cook. She was not going to waste these vegetables. And that is one of the things that since having the farm, I mean, it's a shame. I feel guilty if I'm not doing my part to get some of these vegetables eaten and out of the market.
You just made me think about convenience food is where I'm going with this, because you brought up McDonald's. I've noticed that a lot of folks my age, I'm 32, it's rare that my girlfriends want to cook every night, or that they aren't going out all the time, or that their moms even really taught them. I was fortunate. My mom grew up, I mean, I grew up with a home. My mom didn't really enjoy, she had a lot of allergies. I mean, there was a lot of reasons we didn't eat takeout, but I just didn't grow up with it. So I really appreciated a home cooked meal. And I didn't until I got to college and everyone started going out all the time, didn't know different. But even now, I cook almost every night. Sometimes you need a break, but
Right.
but I noticed that I'm kind of in the minority there. I mean, I think there's a little bit of resurgence. Pinterest has been very helpful. People are finding a lot of recipes. There are a lot of cookbooks that I think are simplifying recipes, like you even mentioned, like not too many ingredients, things are easily accessible, not too gourmet. Are you noticing anything?
I honestly feel like it's coming back. There is so much interest in cooking now.
Mhm.
Farmers markets are bustling. I mean,
Yes.
people are going, they are there, they are supporting them. Now, I'm not going to say, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I cook every night. I don't, but I do. I cook a lot. I feel better about it. It's a way that I can kind of relax, be creative, wind down. And I think part of the problem with this is that you're right. A lot of people didn't grow up with parents that cooked, which is hard. And cooking is not, it's a learned skill. It's not like breathing. You were not put on this planet knowing how to cut an onion. I'm sorry, you just weren't. You're going to have to learn it. It's like
Yes.
riding a bike. And I think people get frustrated, but if they just knew a few simple, very, very simple things, how to cut an onion, how to peel garlic, these little basic things, it would enhance their cooking. And I think they would want to do it more. But I think
Yeah.
sometimes people get frustrated and they quit, or they think I'm not good at that. Well, I mean, hell, you got to try more than once, and don't start with something hard. Don't think I'm just going to break out and, Thanksgiving, here I come. Let me roast a whole turkey. And then they don't find success. No, start out easy, start out slow. And then I do think that people would be more successful. But no, there's so much information out there now. And I think it's more of, rather than people just clicking on Instagram or all of these things to watch, or watching the Food Network, they're actually going in the kitchen and cooking.
You brought up farmers markets, which also I think is really exciting to see. And in general, I tend to try and be a little more health conscious, but I think people are appreciating more wanting to know where their food is coming from, which you
Right.
kind of touched on earlier, right? Like, you're not just buying anything from the grocery store because those things aren't local. And there's also, which I have found really interesting, and I don't know, I would have to look at the studies of this further, but I have read in recent months that they're finding that when your food is fresh off the vine, the nutrient level is at its highest. And
Yeah.
when it's shipped and what you're getting at the grocery store is actually lacking most of the nutrients by the time it's in your fridge and in your meal.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so
And
it's super interesting.
yeah, no, I mean, it was so funny when we first we first started growing. There was a juice bar in town, and this crazy guy Ronzo, who was just a nut job and so fabulous. Like, I mean, he was just the best. He rode around town on this bicycle, and he always wore funny hats, and he was just wild. And so anyway, so I brought him a ton of cucumbers because let me tell you something. If the zucchini doesn't kill you, the cucumbers
Yeah,
will.
we've
I
got
mean,
those.
dear God. And so we had so many of them. And he called me after about a week. I dropped them off. I dropped a ton of them off, like a bushel basket. And he said, Elizabeth, and I said, hey, Ronzo, what's going on? He goes, I'm worried about these cucumbers. And I said, why are you worried about these cucumbers? He goes, because I had them sitting here. They've been here for about a week, maybe a week and a half, and they're not rotten. They're still fresh. He goes, what in the hell are you putting on these things? And I said, Ronzo, I'm not putting anything on those cucumbers. I said, they just didn't come from California. I said, do you understand that the ones that came from California are 2 weeks old by the time you get them home?
Yeah.
I mean, no, they're going to be fine. And he'd call me the next week. I still got those cucumbers. I'm like, well, I'm bringing you some more regardless. And you need to get to juicing.
You better juice those because you've got more
Get
coming.
to juicing, buddy. And anyway, yeah. So I firmly 100% believe that. More than I don't even need to look at the studies. I know that.
Yeah.
Sure. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does. It does make sense. I think that's one of the beautiful things too about summer, particularly where I'm from, right? Because we don't have as long of a growing season. So you're talking about in season foods, and that's something that I so look forward to. It feels a little bit more limited. I mean, there are things you can get still throughout the year, but it's just abundant this time of the year. And it's just more exciting, honestly, as a person who loves food. It's way more exciting.
Right.
Food. I love to cook. It's just better. Now, the other thing I was going to ask you about is fruit.
Yeah.
The same way people try and get creative with their veggies in the summer, even if they're not growing their own fruit. I know in this area, there's like a lot of orchards and pick your own, and that's a big thing to do in the summertime. But if you don't use it right away, I don't know. I find that like berries and fruit just don't, you either throw them in a pie or you eat them fresh, or I don't always have, I mean, this is not my area of expertise, but do you find that there are simple ways to serve fresh fruit?
Yeah. So when, I try to follow a very, and that's a big TRY. I try to follow, like a low carb lifestyle.
Yeah.
But all bets are off in the summer. I just gave myself, it's really funny that we're talking about this, because I just gave myself permission during the winter or whatever. I'll usually, I try to get my berries in and all of those kinds of things, but I don't really eat fruit. Number one, it's usually really shitty, and I don't, there's nothing at the grocery store that's of any interest to me during the winter when it comes to fruit. Berries seem to do pretty good year round, but regardless. But now the other day I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to eat every single piece of fresh summer fruit that I want. And so I bought a watermelon that was as big as my car, and cut that up. And I've had cantaloupe and peaches and berries and strawberry. I mean, every fruit under the sun. And The thing about it is, I think some people are scared to mix their fruit with their vegetables or that sort of sweet and savory, but that's the thing that really gets me going.
Yeah.
And so I put blueberries, I put peaches with my tomatoes, watermelon with my tomatoes, um, watermelon with my zucchini. Like I said, if it grows together, it goes together. So, I think people need to realize that, you don't be limited. Don't think the only thing I can do with this is a cobbler,
Yeah.
even though that is what I did, that I just did a lot of my Instagram videos yesterday, and 4th of July we did a cobbler, but I couldn't help myself because I just love them.
They are
And
fabulous. They are fabulous.
I
I mean,
know.
it's nostalgic too. I mean, it's not really summer until you make one, honestly. So
Yeah, yeah. So we did that, but it's going to be really good 4th of July on our Elizabeth Heiskell official. So I've got a lot of really fun things planned. But that being said, what I ended up using for this cobbler were berries that I had gotten in abundance, and I had too many and they were about to go bad because, I mean, you can only eat so many berries.
yes.
So I went on and cooked them down with my sugar and my water, and then
Okay.
I froze them. Okay. And that's something that one of my good friends' mamas used to do when the peaches were all in. She would always do that. She would take the peaches, she would cut them, she would put them in a little bit of water and sugar, and then she would freeze them. And so they would have the most incredible cobblers all year long.
That's smart.
And so that's what I did. Now, the other thing that I did, because honey, I do like a cocktail. Um, I mean, come on, who
I do,
doesn't love
and
a
herbs
cocktail?
too. You mentioned herbs earlier. I love to play around with. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So when I had that giant watermelon that was literally as big as my car, I mean, I was a little overwhelmed, I'm not gonna lie. And so I took part of that watermelon and I put it in my Vitamix and blended it up. And then I strained it, and it really, I've got that in my freezer right now. So that watermelon juice is in my freezer waiting on the 4th of July, because I am going to be having some watermelon margaritas that
I
are
was
going to
just
turn,
about to ask.
they are going to turn up, and I cannot wait.
I love it. I love
Hell,
it.
I may not even wait. Now that I'm talking about it, I may make them tonight. I mean, I don't know what
It's
I'm
a
waiting for.
Friday.
I know we could be dead by 4th of July. I'm not waiting. Never mind.
I've just recently started. I think that was another thing too. I got a little, again, like I love to cook, I love to bake, but when it came to cocktails, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like open a bottle of wine, or I would order something fun when I went out. So that's something I'm slowly trying to experiment with. That fresh I mean, it tastes so good. It's so good when it's fresh like that. Even juice. I mean, I've been juicing. I mean, you mentioned cucumbers. I've been juicing those because there's, like you mentioned, they
Plentiful.
they're yeah. There's the word.
So that's how we started the Debutante Farmer Bloody Mary mix. So when Luke planted those 10,000 tomato plants, I was losing my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it had gotten to the point where I called it the crying face, because all I did was cry. I
Oh,
would sit on the front porch of our farmhouse and I would look out at those fields, and I would just bawl crying and drink vodka straight. I mean, that's kind of where I had gotten to. It was very much a low point. I'm not gonna lie. It was rough. And so one day Luke walked by and he was like, Elizabeth, he goes, there are people in this world that like other things in their vodka besides ice. You may want to try making some Bloody Mary mix, maybe with all those tomatoes we have. And so that's how I started. So I would cook them down with onions and garlic and incredible seasonings, and then I would mash them, strain them, and make Bloody Mary mix. And let me tell you something, it is the best Bloody Mary mix on the planet. And so now that Debutante Farmer Bloody Mary mix is our brand, and you can buy it anywhere. You can go right now and buy it on Amazon, and it's sold all over the United States. And so that was me, taking lemons and making lemonade, but it's the same thing. You have to get creative. Cocktails are a great way to use up some summer fruit.
and they might make you more creative if you.
Yeah, if you're making them right.
If you're making them right. The I have a handful of more questions for you. The one that I don't want to forget to ask before I ask you about your cookbooks, because I do have a question for you there. But understanding you have a catering company, part of catering is also presentation. And of course, you're essentially a professional entertainer. So, do you have any go-to tips or advice for folks, especially in these toasty months, to make it easier on themselves, but then also to ensure their guests are having a good experience?
I'm going to tell you this right now, entertain outside. Mother Nature has done all the work for you. I mean, it takes the pressure off. You don't have to worry about all those dust bunnies under the couch and, scrubbing your baseboards because you're going to be outside. And it's summer and people love it. It's just, there's no reason in the world not to be entertaining outside and make it easy. Listen, you don't have to get all crazy. You don't need to go and pull out your fine china in the summer. I mean, do some great bamboo plates, do some fun disposable napkins. I'm going to give you permission to do that. Okay. Normally I would say absolutely not, but I'm going to tell you in the summertime, you can do that. Give yourself permission. Do some easy things. I mean, buy ice cream sandwiches, have those for dessert. Throw some berries with some whipped cream. Done. It doesn't have to be over the top. Your guests are just excited to be included. I think people get so caught up in trying to create this just wow over the top experience and they get paralyzed with fear and they never invite anybody over. It's just you're inviting your friends over. Let it be fun, let it be casual, make them stay outside.
Give them some bug spray. That's what I just did to mine.
Yeah, no, I mean
Yeah.
seriously, it's awesome. It's a really, really, it's a fun time to entertain. Everybody's in a good mood,
Mhm.
everybody's relaxed, everybody's suntanned, everybody feels good, they're looking good. It is. It's a good time to have friends over.
I love
Because
that.
every night can be Friday night because those little kids ain't having to get up to go to school the next day.
That's very true. Yeah, and I always talk about some of our favorite get-togethers. We mostly hang out at this point in this stage in our lives. Our neighbors have become a lot of our closest friends. Some of our greatest gatherings are those weeknight informal, hey, do you want to come over for a drink on the porch? Or do you want to pop over in the backyard? I mean, those are meaningful, they're low key, they don't require a lot of effort, and they're just as special and fun. And
Right.
it spruces it up. And I think that helps. I mean, that's kind of you could do that any time of the year, I suppose. But for me, that's part of the fun of summer is that
Right.
like there's that festive energy in the air. I want to make sure to give you an opportunity to chat about your cookbooks. And
Yeah.
I'm curious a little bit about because you've written multiple. And so kind of the inspirations behind both and what people can get out of each.
Yeah. So the first, well, I've got four cookbooks now. One was a baby book that I wrote years ago that's kind of hard to get a hold of, but somebody stole the cornbread from my dressing. So it's a comparison of the North and the South through food. One of my dear friends moved up to Pennsylvania, which was just a huge mistake. And anyway, so it's a really funny book about her experiences at funerals and weddings, and then I include
Oh, yes.
it's pretty hilarious. And then I did What Can I Bring? Which is just what it said. So it basically took me back to instead of flowers. So if somebody, had a baby, or if you were going to a potluck, or if, you had a friend that was under the weather, these are all the chapters for this book. And so it's about taking care of others with food. And again, they're all super simple recipes because, you're not going to get any notice. Death doesn't give notice. You know what I'm talking about? So if you've got to get something to somebody that's lost a loved one, you're not probably going to have a lot of time. That's that book. And then the next one was Come On Over, which is just exactly what we've been talking about, having people over, creating fun, easy recipes. You don't want to be a stressed out hostess. Nobody likes that. Nobody's going to have fun, if you're not having fun. And so it's just, come on over for a tailgate, come on over for for a summer party. I mean, it's all of these things. And so I'm hoping that book really helps to inspire people. And if you don't have a copy, you need to get out and grab one. of either of those books because they really are amazing. And then we have the Southern Living Party Cookbook, which we rewrote the 1973 Southern Living Party Cookbook. And again, that one's full of incredible parties and recipes to go along with it that are all Southern Living recipes that I curated.
There, I've looked at not the very first one, but I have seen the other three. They're incredible. I will make sure to link, just so for folks listening, those will all be linked in the show notes, as well as your website and your socials, so people can easily find you. One of the last things I wanted to talk to you about is the Today Show.
Yes.
So that, I mean, what a cool opportunity. Did you want to talk about that at all, or tell us
Yes.
about that experience?
Yeah, so the Today Show was a dream that took 15 years. I was, again, instead of flowers, Jency and I were watching the Today Show, and Martha Stewart was on, and she was doing a Thanksgiving turkey. And I love Martha, love Martha. And through the Today Show, we've gotten to be, friends. But I mean, I say friends. I'm friends with her. I don't know if she would call me her friend, but whatever. And anyway, but she did a Thanksgiving turkey and it was just completely underwhelming. It was basically a roast chicken, like it was just nothing. But my grandmother has a pillowcase turkey, and you wrap the turkey in pillowcase and then you roast it. You baste it the entire time so that the pillowcase stays saturated. It's the finest turkey known to man. I'm not gonna lie, it just is. And so I told Jency, I said, everybody needs to know about my grandmother's pillowcase turkey. And so 15 years later, I got an opportunity to cook for Andy Lack, who had been president of NBC, and this dinner was on a Thursday, and he was taking back over on Monday. And it was here in Oxford at Roanoke, William Faulkner's home, and it was just magical, so that's how it happened. And that was 9 years ago. So I've been the Today Show food contributor for 8 years, signed and contracted, and just it is just the joy. It is one of a major joy in my life, and I am so unbelievably grateful for the opportunity. It's beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I mean, my dream was one time, literally. I thought one time that would be, that would just, I didn't even know you could get asked back. I thought once you did it once, that was it. That's how little I knew about it. I turned this dream over to God, and I would pray about it, and I would talk about it, and I would, see myself there and in that kitchen. But I had honestly, I had no idea what God had planned for me. I could have never imagined, actually being there and being a part of that Today Show family. It's absolutely blown my mind.
Well, I'm excited for you because I mean it's such an incredible opportunity, and I'm so glad that you did get to go back. I guess when your pillowcase turkey is really good, they want more. So I love it, and I know that you've continued. You've through your cookbooks, through catering, the Today Show, you've had other appearances as well. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. I love you, your personality, your message, and I just appreciate that you even have taken the time to be here today to chat with everybody, because I think it aligned, it's well aligned. My goal is to, of course, talk about entertaining and hosting, but also to encourage people to step outside of their comfort zones or to continue traditions, or, if you have those recipes, that's a whole separate conversation. But I mean, familial recipes, like you just mentioned, learn how to cook them, like keep that tradition going. Having the recipe card in your recipe box is, of course, very special and cherished, but to be able to recreate it to some degree, because it's usually not exact, is special. And, just that heritage and appreciation. So I
You're
love
right.
what you're
I
doing.
mean, entertaining makes you very vulnerable. You are
Mhm.
putting yourself out there. And it's am I good enough? Is my house nice enough? Is my food good enough? Is anybody going to have fun? And even me, I mean, even somebody that does this for a living, has done it for 22 years, I still get that way. So I can only imagine what other people are feeling. So please don't think that I take this lightly, because I don't. I know I'm asking a lot. You have to step out there, you have to be vulnerable. And that's okay, because like I said, you ain't inviting your enemies over. You're inviting people that love you. So don't be, do it.
Yes. Exactly. A shameless plug, right? Like your books are honestly a great way for people to start if they're even a little bit interested in this or need more ideas or want a little more guidance, take a peek.
I can't tell you how many college kids come up to me and say, I can't thank you enough for your book, or I made this, or I made that. I mean, really, it is an incredible starter book, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also a great book for people that have cooked forever. You know,
Yeah.
either they're going to find something that's familiar that they know how to make, and maybe I do it a little bit different, or they're going to find a different idea. But yes, these recipes are super simple, very straightforward. You can get every ingredient at the Piggly Wiggly. You are not going to have to be getting on Amazon, trying to find ingredients. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, honey.